He is one of the most iconic locomotives of all time. He was the first engine to go undisputably 100 miles per hour and has traveled all over the world. He is none other than the Flying Scotsman. The engines were all waiting at Knapford Station. The Flying Scotsman was visiting for the first time in half a century. Gordon was very excited.
I wonder if I'll recognize him with all the rebuilds he's had. There he is! Look!
The Flying Scotsman rumbled into the station amongst thunderous applause.
Well, if it isn't my blue brother Gordon.
Scotty! How wonderful to see you again!
Right back at you, boy.
This time I can say you've changed a lot instead of me. You look splendid.
Why, thank you. It definitely should have not taken 10 years, though.
Welcome to Shoredore, Flying Scotsman.
Hello, Sir Topham Hatt. Boy, the last time I was here, it was your grandfather who said those words. Ah, is that an A4, I see?
Spencer rolled his eyes.
Yes, Mr. Scott. My name is Spencer.
Oh, I do like A4s. They look absolutely wonderful with a streamlined boiler. It's like a train out of heaven.
Spencer was very flattered. He began boasting, much to Gordon's annoyance. Meanwhile, in the back, Craven eyed the visitor with suspicion. Craven is the governor of Sodore's private engine. He was known for being very arrogant and rude to the other engines, but had changed a lot. He mainly now kept to himself, and treated Helen, the governor's coach, with much more respect and compassion. The governor of Sodor was away traveling, so Craven didn't have much to do.
Oh dear, what's wrong with you? I recognize that face.
It's that visiting green engine.
You mean Flying Scotsman? Ooh, he's very famous.
More like Flying Sausage, and he's not as famous as me, yet he gets a huge ovation wherever he goes. He's probably all stuck up.
Well, Craven, it's needless to say that you aren't as polite as most engines, but why are you jealous? You pull the train of the most important man on the island. If anyone has the right to boast, it's you. Though again, you sometimes abuse that right.
I know, Helen, but I just feel like I'm taking it for granted, if you know what I mean. Oh God, it's him again.
No engine really liked Craven, but he and Spencer had a very large rivalry. They were both very similar engines. They were both private engines for very important passengers, but they always argued which was more important, speed or luxury. What had started as a simple rivalry became a feud. Whenever the two passed each other, they would hurl insults.
Not to be rude, but...
Hurry along, you old road hog!
Bug off, you big white wedge!
The next day, Gordon, Spencer, and the Flying Scotsman were all chatting to each other when Craven passed by.
Good morning, you big white seagull dropping!
Goodness gracious!
I believe he was referring to me, old boy, not you.
Still, that is quite rude and vulgar. Who is that engine?
That is Craven, the private engine of the governor of Sodor.
You're joking. That lout?
Yes, we're in disbelief too. He's gotten better, but if you get him angry, he can be quite nasty. Had he and Spencer been in a real confrontation, Craven probably would have called him a big white seagull
All right, I get the idea. Perhaps I can talk some sense into him whilst I'm here. What does he have against you, Spencer?
It's more like a grudge against the whole island, I tell you. But in my case, we just got into this habit of boasting to each other as to who was fastest and best. Now it's grown rather maddening.
Oh, I understand. Friendly boasting is one thing, but once you get into the habit of trying to show who's better, it becomes an unpleasant rivalry. I've seen the exact thing happen with some of my Doncaster brothers. What type of engine is he? I've never seen one like him before. Is he a hybrid?
Of many builds, yes. Spencer often calls him Frankenstein.
Yes, indeed. Not to brag, but I am easily the better of the two. I can go at a faster rate than any steam engine. Quite extraordinary, I must say.
Oh, really? I heard about an incident where you ran out of water on a hill. Am I right?
I'll have you know that I had a leaky tank.
Oh, I'm sure.
Look out! A Great Western approaching.
I'm sorry, Gordon, and I'm too Great Western for you to handle.
Not at all. Gordon's just being a scaredy-cat, that's all. Ah, I see you've brought Sir Topham Hatt.
Hello, you three. Now then, I have some important news to tell all of you. On Saturday, you three will triple-head a train to Vickerstown and back. The Duke of Boxford has agreed to this. Splendid, sir. Sir Nigel Gresley's greatest works on one train. Sounds exciting.
Later that day, Duck was having a drink at a water tower. Craven waited impatiently behind.
Come on, hurry up! I've got things to do.
So do I. I'm almost finished. Wait your turn.
Humph! Flying crackpot doesn't have to wait for dawdling tank engines. He has 2 tenders, and one of them is specially for water.
You may have noticed, he only brought one of his tenders. He may be famous, but he knows that every engine is as useful as him.
Pah! I'm different. I'm more important.
When Craven finally was getting his drink, he heard the dreaded whistle again.
Oh no.
Careful, old bean! Don't drink too much or you might drown!
I'd be more worried about what your face looks like after I shove it up your...
Spencer, of course, didn't hear him, and a good thing too. Craven seethed with anger.
I'll show that hot-air balloon boiler.
Don't act all cocky. You escalate the situation even more than he does. In fact, I think it was you who started this whole row. The next day, it was Spencer's turn to have a drink. He did so at Tidmouth Station and was enjoying it very much. Then Craven crept into the yard.
Well, hello, Silver Shark.
Spencer decided to say nothing. He didn't want to start another argument.
You'd better hurry up and start work before your tank leaks out.
Don't waste your time throwing insults, my dear Craven. You would be as slow as a snail by day's end.
Snail, am I? If I were to put my mind to it, I might actually be able to beat you.
Outrun me! What utter tosh! You can't even do 100 if I recall.
But I'm much smarter and more clever than you. You're bound to have an accident or get into a mess of some kind.
Oh, we'll see about that.
Spencer had finished his drink, and he suddenly raced off like a rocket. Craven was furious.
Oh, no you don't. I'm not finished with you just yet.
And Craven followed after him. He went as fast as he could, but needless to say, he couldn't even come close to catching up with Spencer. But he was too puffed up to come to his senses, and raced on. He was going so fast that he was rattling and shaking. He wasn't used to such high speeds. Spencer zoomed through Knapford and headed for the Little Western. The signalman then changed the points for the docks. Craven didn't realize this, and zoomed through the station. But there was a reason the points had been changed. Henry was slowly lumbering along with a goods train on the same line.
What are you doing?
The signalman switched Craven onto another line, but now he was headed towards Salty.
Oh, Lord!
decided to take a swim. Even I don't do that, and I'm named after a bird that loves to swim.
What the bloody hell were you thinking? Going 90 in a 40-mile-per-hour zone? I'm sorry.
I should think so too. If you were mad engine, you would have had severe consequences.
We tried to stop him, but he was being so stubborn we couldn't get the brake on, so we had to jump clear. Craven was taken to the steamworks to be cleaned up. Gordon, Spencer, and the Flying Scotsman were there too, being checked out before their special enthusiast run.
If you've shown me one thing today, Craven, it's the futility of trying to chase after the fastest engine in the world.
Yes, I learned that when I tried to beat Mallard's record back in 2013.
Craven said nothing. He looked sadly at his buffers.
When will you ever learn? All this hot air comes back to get you in the end, you know.
Pity, really. If he stayed in the water a bit longer, he would have made a good rubbish barge.
All right, that's enough. Let him learn for himself.
Fat chance of that.
I'm sorry.
Gordon and Spencer were surprised.
You're sorry? Well, that's a first.
How dubious.
Gordon, when I was in the water, it reminded me of, well, him. I don't want to be like him. Not that lunatic.
Him? You mean that engine back in 1925?
Who, pray tell, are you talking about?
Oh, is this that engine you told me about who blew himself up?
Yes, 98462.
Alfred.
I refuse to use that name. I refuse to associate any name with a monster like him.
He was my only friend, and yet he manipulated me.
Well, Craven, you can't blame all of this on him.
For what it seems to me, it appears that you are feeling bored with life. You have the most important job on the island, and it just becomes so anticlimactic after a while. So you feel depressed. To make yourself better, you try to make your important position known by belittling others.
Because they're all happy and I'm not. It's not fair that people below my rank should be happy. It makes me feel selfish for feeling so depressed. So I get in this habit of boasting, and before I knew it, I became a big puffed up balloon.
You know the reason why you're unhappy? Your mind is not in the right place, my dear engine. You focus too much on showing how important you are, that you forget how to be happy. I was almost scrapped too, several times. In fact, I was just left and almost forgotten over 5,000 miles away, in San Francisco. I know very well that being famous is not all glamorous. Fame can corrupt an engine, and I fought with it many times. Of course, I'm not excusing your behavior, but you get the idea.
I suppose.
Take a look out there. What do you see in the distance?
What, the sunset?
Exactly. What do you think of it?
Well, it's pretty, I guess. But I don't usually spend my time worrying about sunsets.
That is exactly your problem. You are so consumed by your desire to be important that you completely miss out on the little things in life.
What are you trying to point out?
Oh, I'm trying to emphasize that if you don't stop and look around in life, you'll get nothing out of it. You're only focused on being all important, and it doesn't do you any good.
No, it doesn't.
This engine should consider himself lucky. He fell into the sea, yet all he needs is a good washout this evening. He'll be in good order before tomorrow morning.
Well, luck has given you yet another chance. If I were you, I'd take advantage of it.
The words circled in Craven's head for many days to come. He was even more silent than usual, which surprised the other engines. Gordon and Spencer's big day soon came. Unfortunately, the weather was not the best.
It's supposed to rain pretty heavily on the return journey.
Yes, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem for the passengers.
Enthusiasts and bystanders might be a different story, though. The special coaches were shunted into Knapford, and the people waited eagerly. Then, a thunderous applause erupted when the 3 Gresley engines came into view. They proudly tooted their whistles and slowly backed onto the train, which was called Gresley's Greatest. As they rumbled down the line, the speed picked up. Smoke billowed into the air as the 3 engines puffed furiously, and it wasn't long before they reached 100 miles per hour, like the Flying Scotsman had done 82 years prior.
Oi, squiggly bits coming up, slow down!
The passengers had a wonderful time as the train rushed through stations and soared under bridges. The other engines would give a friendly whistle as the train passed by. Meanwhile, Craven sat in a shed feeling very anxious. He was worried about what the governor of Sodor would do when he came back. His driver was listening to the radio.
Much more fierce than we thought. High winds are expected, so I guess we should now call this a storm. Hope you all stay dry tonight. It should really start picking up around 5.
Isn't that when the Flying Scotsman's returning?
I wouldn't worry about them. They know what they're doing. Besides, we have to go over to Kronk. I have to discuss some things with the station master. As Craven made his way down the line, the wind picked up. Meanwhile, Gordon, Spencer, and the Flying Scotsman had reached Vickerstown and had been there for about an hour whilst they all turned around and prepared for the return journey. Spencer was very adamant about going in the front this time.
You'll block the view with your oversized boiler!
At least he'll be the one with all the wind blowing in his face.
Ha! A little air won't hurt anybody.
Yes, but it's supposed to rain too.
The engines snorted down the line as fast as they could. They wanted to get back to Knapford before the rain, but there was trouble ahead. As the 3 engines approached Marin, the power suddenly went out. There was no way anyone could control the signals, but there was worse to come. Ahead was a fallen tree on the line.
Oh, I say, stop! Ouch! Oh, what's happened?
Oh, damn! That tree has ruptured his pistons.
Get help. There's no way we can get started again on a slippery hill even with 2 engines.
There's no reception. The power must be out.
And it's starting to rain.
Oh, just our luck. We're stuck on a hill in the middle of a storm with no means of communication.
Well, not quite. It's a good thing I happen to be passing by.
Craven, I am glad to see you. Get us some help, please.
Do you expect me to believe a nincompoop like him will actually lend assistance?
Well, I thought about that, and it wouldn't hurt to try. And of course, this is for the passengers, not you.
There's no power, though. We can't call anyone.
You know what? I'll do it myself.
That I would like to see.
I think you'll need to roll back to the bottom of the hill.
The engines did just that and reversed all the way back to Marin. The rain was getting much worse, and the passengers were anxious. It's a good thing you pushed that tree branch out of the way when you hit it. Otherwise, we'd have to get a crane, which would take hours without power.
Are you sure you can do this? The hill will be very slippery.
Well, you could stay here if you wish. Passengers might not like it.
Hey, spare the sarcasm and let's get going.
With a huff and a puff, the engines set off. It was not easy work at all, pulling 10 coaches and a broken engine. It wasn't long before they reached the dreaded hill.
Good Lord! This is much worse than I thought.
I fully agree. Heave!
The wheels slipped furiously as the engine snorted up the hill at no more than 8 miles per hour.
I think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
Catchy phrase. Where have I heard that one?
We're stalling!
Come on, we're right at the top. There we go.
Just get the coaches over the top and we'll be through. There we go.
I've done it! I've done it!
You mean we've done it?
Well done, you two. We're moving again.
There was still a long way to go, and the engine struggled on through the fierce wind and rain.
Puff to a steady rhythm.
Here's Crosby.
Here's Elsbridge. Just one to go.
And here's Tedmouth. Look, the rain has stopped.
By Jove! That chap might actually do it!
And with puff after exhausting puff, Craven did. At Knapford Station, the Fat Controller was about to send out a search party.
Wait, sir! Is that them?
Why, yes it is, but
Is that Craven helping them?
Yes, it is.
The passengers erupted with cheers and applause as the train slowly but surely rolled into the station.
I don't believe it! The Flying Scotsman, Gordon, and Spencer were rescued by, of all engines, Craven!
That's all I'm doing for you. Don't expect me to do anything else.
Oh, all right.
3 cheers for Craven! Hip hip hooray!
well, I never. That was spectacular.
Impressive. Most impressive.
I was about to send out a search party, but I guess there was no need. Your engine did the work of 2.
Well, it was hard work, but old Craven was persistent enough to get the job done.
Very good. And Scotsman, I've talked to your owner, and they've agreed to let you stay an extra week. You'll be redoing this run next weekend to make up for the misery you all have experienced.
Oh, thank you, sir. But I do have one request.
What's that?
I'd like this engine to trail along with us at the back.
Oh, you don't mean it.
Oh, yes, I do. This engine has shown us all that if we put our minds to it, we can change and become a different engine.
Yes, indeed. Craven may not have been the nicest engine in the past, but I think he's made a decent effort to get his act together, so I only see as logical as he should join us on the next journey. Well, if the governor approves, I don't see why not.
I would be honored to do so, sir. And to all the other engines, I want to take a moment and apologize to you all about how I've treated you. The way I acted was, well, despicable. I'm not proud of it, and never was. Even though I always appeared very haughty and pleased with myself, I wasn't. After nearly being scrapped and all that drama back in the day, I focused on only one thing, being important, and I felt the only way to do that was to constantly look down on others in lower positions than me. I am not a perfect engine at all.
But neither are the rest of us. We have all done stuff we are not proud of.
Exactly.
And Craven, I'm sorry about how harsh I was earlier on. This whole rivalry we got into only brought us downhill. I propose we bury the hatchet. What say you?
I say that's a jolly good idea. Let's start over fresh. But the engine I'd like to thank most of all is the Flying Scotsman. Thank you for helping me get my act together. You truly are one of the most admirable and famous engines.
A few days later, Craven was chatting with Diesel and Ted, 2 other engines that had been in his situation.
Change is possible for most people, but it requires action from you, not others.
Yes, indeed. Very true.
Just then, Craven's driver came up. The governor has been so busy, but he's finally contacted us, and he's got a message for you.
Oh dear, I'm finished.
I'll read it to you. Dear Craven, I was not pleased to hear about your careless behavior that ended up with you in the sea. However,
I'm very shocked to hear about how you helped rescue the Flying Scotsman's train. That more than makes up for it, and I'm very proud of you. Sir Topham Hatt mentioned that you were offered to accompany the Flying Scotsman on another train, and after your brave efforts, I think you deserve it. Keep up this good behavior." Craven was very pleased. Like Henry said, some engines just don't change. However, there are also those that do.